It's a people, it's a community, it's a life, it's a heart, it's a spirit.
Parents of gay children say, I want my son, my gay son, to have the same opportunity to come to me and say, hey, Dad, I'm getting married, as my non-gay son or my non-gay daughter.
The heck would you want a picture of a tattoo of $1,000 on your penis for?
You might just need to satisfy yourself sexually alone at that point.
Do I regret it? Not one bit. Did I think that I would actually take it the next step and do it again?
And what goes into their life, how they handle it. There are 12 houses, and each one of those houses has a particular function.
Look into yourself, think about it, and just be whoever it is that speaks to you.
Hello and welcome to Talking About. My name is John Griffith. Today I have a very, very special guest, actor, comedian, host, extraordinaire, Scott Nevins. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, what brings you here today?
Just a little chit-chat here in Flushing, Queens, my hometown.
Yes. So you grew up here?
I did. I grew up more towards, Bayside, what they like to call Auburndale when you want to make it sound pretty. But yeah, I love this area. My dad was born and raised here, and he comes from a family of 12, so a lot of them are still in the neighborhood, and my parents bought a house here 30 years ago. I grew up here, and I love it.
Okay, so they can all gather around and watch the show.
Exactly. Well, it's funny, I was saying to you before, we used to come right, blocks away from the studio here, was this amazing restaurant called the Old Roma that we used to go to every Friday as a family. And so it was sad to kind of get off the train today and see that it wasn't there. It's now a high-rise building and a, takeout order Chinese food place. So it was a little sad. I miss those meatballs.
Yeah, well, everything changes, and hopefully something new and better pops up here and there.
Yeah, it's great, but I love all the kind of cultural aspects now to Flushing, right here in Main Street. I mean, I love it. I think it's kind of like Chinatown, too. It's great.
Yeah, well, growing up, did you always have an interest in performing in theater and the like?
I did. It's funny. It's my father, who was a professional baseball player, got me into theater, and I guess he kind of tricked me into it with movie musicals. He used to show me That's Entertainment, that box set of the movie musicals. And I just kind of fell in love with it. And then my Aunt Grace took me to my first Broadway show when I was 4. And we went to go see 42nd Street, and I was hooked from the minute I saw it. I remember, that opening moment of the curtain rising and seeing just like 10,000 tap dancing feet. And I was like, I know what I want to do with the rest of my life.
Okay.
And I've been a waiter ever since. No. I've been a waiter in 6 or 7 years.
Okay.
I'm very proud of that. Yes, I don't have a day job, as people like to say. I just have my career performing. So I'm very, very proud of that. I'm very blessed and lucky.
So, was it a long climb to get to that point?
You know what? It wasn't long. It was interesting, though. I went to college up at SUNY Purchase, and it's a big theater arts school in Westchester, and we did a lot of shows up there. And then I did my senior show as a junior, because I had stayed for the summer, so I had enough credits to graduate. And they said, well, you can do your big final show. And I did a show called Why Do Women Get All of the Good Songs on Broadway? And I hosted and told stories of growing up wanting to sing these women's songs, and I couldn't for 2 reasons. 1, because they were written for women, and 2, because I'm tone deaf. So I did the show, and we ended up winning Best Show and Best Director or some humanities award. And so I came down to the city and started directing. And I got kind of in this niche of directing really well-known drag queens to do real cabaret shows, not just drag shows, real. And then
so actual performing and not just lip syncing.
Not lip syncing. They were all, it was Shaquita, who's an opera singer, Cashetta, who does magic and singing, and they all had a little twist to them. So I was doing that for a while, and I did an off-Broadway show that I directed called Popera with Shaquita. It was all about the crossover of pop and opera. Kind of inspired by that great moment on the Grammys when Aretha Franklin stepped in for Pavarotti and sang Nessun Dorma, and kind of all those great moments. So we did that, and it did great. Got like an Adelco Award nomination, and it went to Europe. And there was a place in New York opening called Therapy, which is a lounge on 52nd Street. And the owner, Tom Johnson, came up to me and said, I love your shows and I love you. I want you to do all of the entertainment at my new space. And I was new to the city. This was, I didn't have a job except I was working at Pizzeria Uno's.
Okay.
So this is my excuse to quit Pizzeria Uno, and I went and worked for them and developed all their shows. And I said, well, we have this Monday night slot that we don't know what to do with. And I said, I've always wanted to try to do a talk show in like a bar lounge setting.
Okay.
And everyone said I was crazy. They said, don't do it. You'll never get the crowd's attention, especially as a guy, it's very difficult unless you can sing or you're stripping or you're in drag. It's very hard to get their attention. And it was. Our first show was disastrous. We had sound problems and it was terrible. But then suddenly this little magical thing started happening, and the real kind of moment that had happened for me was we booked Tammy Faye Baker.
Okay.
Who I had known a lot about. I wasn't a huge fan, but I knew a lot about her. And I booked her through a friend who was promoting her book. And she came, and you couldn't even get in the lounge that night. It was a line around the block. And it was a huge hit. And we had this amazing, amazing night with Tammy Faye. And it kind of just started it all for me.
And did you bring a little bit of that? Is that one?
I did. I brought a clip of Tammy Faye. I asked her, I said, I have you here. You have to make me the first guy ever to have his eyelashes done by Tammy Faye. And she said, well, sure. And I didn't think she was going to say yes for real. She said, sure. So I whipped out a mascara wand, some 99-cent thing. And she was doing them, and she poked my eye out.
Okay, so let's take a quick look at that, and we'll be right back.
Anybody else you can feel me.
Poke in the eyes.
Like want to poke in the eye. Oh yeah. Well, you got long eyelashes.
My mom always wanted my lashes.
You little devil, you. Whoa! I got him. I'm sorry. Oh no,
I'll never open that eye again.
That was classic.
I know. I couldn't see for about 3 hours. So as I was saying goodbye to her backstage, she was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "I'm fine." I was like, I literally, like I said, it was like Helen Keller. It was crazy.
So, just beginning with that show, I mean, who else did you manage to rope in? And it's great that even through the beginnings of it, where you said you were having a rough time, that you had the management support to keep going, because a lot of people would, if one misstep, one bad outing, and they pull the plug, especially in this industry.
Yeah, definitely. And I was very fortunate. Tom Johnson was an amazing support to me, and he said, no, I think you have something there. Go for it. He goes, and I think you're really talented. And I was very unsure of myself back then too. I'd only done the hosting thing in college, for my shows, and I'm not a comedian. I never was, but I would get up there and just kind of give my take on things that happened during the week and political stuff and all that. And I learned how to get their attention and hold them. And it's the hardest lesson I ever learned about performing. And it was difficult because now we're in the age of chat boards and message boards. And, I would go on to certain ones and read just really terrible, mean things about myself and my talent or lack thereof. And I don't have thick skin. I like to pretend I do, but I don't. So I would get really upset. But then something turned in me, and I said, everyone goes through this. This is my school. This is my learning process. Unfortunately, it's in front of everybody. So I took it and ran with it. And then after Tammy Faye, we started booking really great performers. We had RuPaul came, taught me how to walk in a pair of high heels.
Okay.
Which she swore it wasn't my first time, and then we had an amazing night. Do you know Deborah Cox? She's a club singer. She has a really huge song called "Nobody's Supposed to Be Here" that you hear at every wedding right after YMCA. And she was doing Aida at the time.
Okay.
And she came and did the show, and we had her as a surprise guest. It was our 1-year anniversary, so we had built an audience, and everyone was really into it, and we snuck her in the back door, and she looked beautiful. I mean, she's a size -4, she's so gorgeous. And we did, I opened the show, and I said, we have a surprise guest star, and then I said it was Sandy Duncan. And I said, no, I'm kidding, and then and I said, please welcome, and before I could even say her name, she came through the door, and they all lost it. And it was this, she sang 2 songs from Aida and just blew the roof off the place, and then I tricked her into singing with me.
Okay.
Which was fun. She did this duet with Whitney Houston more later in the career during the crack years, and it's
Whitney's
Whitney's crack years. Here, Deborah doesn't do crack. Deborah knows what she's doing. She's a smart girl. But Whitney was in her crack years, and she did, it was a duet called Same Script, Different Cast. And it had come out about a year or so before, and I was obsessed with it. I loved it. I thought it was really great. And it has a spoken word lead-in. And I was interviewing her, and I mentioned the song, and she kind of just said, oh, thank you very much. I'm glad you like it. And I went into the spoken word intro, and I said, Deb. And I went into the whole thing, and she just looked at me, and I thought, oh, this is going to be a moment. Either she'll go with it, or she'll think I'm insane and not do it. And she went with it, and it was pretty magical. And she actually, I ran into her a couple of times later, and every time I see her, she says, I will never forget that moment of you and I singing together. Same script, different cast. I played the Whitney Houston role, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, so, sans the crack.
Okay, is that our second look?
Yeah, we have a clip of that too. Yeah.
Okay, so let's take a quick look at that and enjoy.
Now, one song that I love, and I don't believe it was on one of your albums, but it was on Whitney Houston's Greatest Hits, was Same Script, Different Cast.
He told me that he loved me. I heard that.
That's a moment that could burn into your mind.
I know. And I, the only thing going through my head while I was doing it was, oh my God, I am so incredibly tone deaf. It's unreal.
So I guess a big musical is not necessarily in the immediate future.
No, although that was always my dream as a kid. Although I wanted to play Norma Desmond, so I'm still a little too, I'm a little too young for that one yet.
Makeup.
Yeah, makeup and just a big turban would be great.
Okay, well, I mean, after that show, how long did that run?
I did Scott Nevins Presents for close to 2.5 years. And it was amazing, and we were just at the real height of it being great. It was really like just soaring, and I said, now is the time to walk away before we can't book any more guests. Because we had Graham Norton, the Queer Eye guys, we had all these great guests come by, Broadway, like superstars, and Stephen Schwartz, the incredible, man who brought us Pippin and Wicked, he came on one night and sang live, which he never really does at these events. And there was all these magical moments, and I was loving it. And then one day I said, it's time to go. So we did the last show, and I cried, of course, which, I cry at Hallmark commercials. It's terrible. I'm such my mother's son. It's all because she showed me Beaches when I was 7, and we cried together, and she's like, it's okay to cry, and now I cry everywhere. I cry at, like, Tony Award acceptance speeches, like at the Oscars, I'm crying when Jennifer Hudson wins.
I come from a family of criers also.
Do you? Yeah. It's, what nationality?
German-Irish.
See, it's the Irish. The Irish will drink and then we'll cry. It's terrible. So then I left, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And literally the next day, got a phone call from John Blair, who is a huge man in the nightclub scene. And his partner Beto called me and said, we'd love to work with you. We've been dying to work with you for 2 years, and you've been under contract to therapy. I didn't know I had a contract, but I guess I was under contract. So I developed this show called XL Star. And this is at the height of American Idol's fame. I had seen a lot of shows in town where people were doing like karaoke contests and all, and it just all seemed so cheap. I said, I want a full band, I want full lighting, microphones, and I want different celebrity judges each week. And they said, if you can do it, bring it on. And we did it, and it was a huge, huge, huge hit. Almost, people say they love Scott Nevins Presents, but that XL Star was a bigger hit if you look at the numbers. So John Blair and Beto were very happy. And we did that for 2 years, and then they closed XL. So we had 2 winners, Alicia Umphris and Emily McNamara, 2 very, very different performers. But from it, we were able to find a lot of great talent. And that's my favorite thing. And I think it comes from the fact that I can't sing, or that I don't sing. I love giving a platform for artists who can. I love taking whatever notoriety or celebrity I have and saying, yeah, I'm here, thanks, but look at this person. And that's what Scott Nevins Presents was all about. I would always save a slot on the show for an unknown. And I would let them get up and sing and do whatever they want. And, I always feel weird saying I take credit, and I don't take credit, but there's a lot of people who did the show who actually got Broadway shows from it, who got TV shows, who got recording contracts, or who are now performing all over New York and all over the country. Who, you know, I said, who is this kid? But they're great. Let's give them a shot.
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody needs a little boost here and there, and with the right kind of support, and as long as you remember where you came from when you needed that little boost, and just that one person to say yes. Yeah.
And I've always been blessed. I've been the luckiest kid in town. I got to tell you, it's, you know, I during this time of XL Stars got an offer from Caroline's on Broadway and started doing a show there. I was headlining at Caroline's on Broadway, my first time ever entering a comedy club. I mean, that's unheard of.
Yeah, and you who don't describe yourself as a comedian.
Yeah, I don't. And people call me a comedian. That's fine. I don't, out of respect for comedians, because I think so many of them play like these rotten clubs and these horrible nights, and they bomb. I didn't go through any of that. I got up and I, you know, whether it's a credit to my talent or I was just lucky, I had material that worked. And I got up and did it, and people noticed and they liked it, which is always the big factor. And we did a whole bunch of shows there called the Scott Nevins Variety Hour, which was really fun. We had Susan Lucci come on one of them, and Melba Moore, this great Broadway diva, and bunch of Broadway people, and it was fun. Everyone just did. It was everything from Broadway stars to club singers to drag queens to comedians. It was a real variety show.
Okay.
I'm trying to bring the variety show back to television. I'm in talks with a couple of stations to.
So I mean, I like that idea. I mean, I think it might not fly during the September to May, but it would make a great summer showcase.
A summer showcase, exactly.
So I mean, you can.
Scott Nevins presents the summer showcase. That might be good. Always put your name in the title. It's terrible. It's true. You look at my bio, it's like everything has my name in it. It's so self-absorbed. It's terrible. And then I say, I like to give other people a chance. Woo.
Yeah. So after Caroline's.
After Caroline's, that's where things started to really kind of go in a very different direction. I was getting really tired of the club scene. Personally, I don't drink. I never have, and I don't smoke, and I don't do drugs. So I really am not a partier in that sense. I'm like Paris Hilton. No.
Naturally manic.
Yeah, I will go out and have fun with friends. I love to dance, but I won't go, like, I don't drink and all that. So I don't get that whole big dance floor and that pounding music with no vocals. You know, I'd rather go sit in a Broadway theater and watch a musical.
I didn't get the dance gene. I have to shift the weight from one foot to the other.
Really? See, I can dance. I don't know where I got. My parents, my father was an amazing dancer. My mother, and they would dance. They would do swing dancing, and they were incredible. So I luckily got some of their rhythm. But so I was getting sick of the club scene. So I said I want to start doing other stuff, and I went on as a guest star to Sirius Satellite Radio on the John McMullen Show, who you've had on here.
Yeah, John is a friend of the show.
Yeah, and he's a dear friend of mine. I love him, and I filled in. No, I was there as a guest, and then he asked me to fill in one day as a guest host.
Oh. And
I had never really done radio before, but as you can tell, I'm a talker, so it was easy for me.
John never asked me to fill in as a host.
Well, I was there. He knew I lived like blocks away. The studio's on like, what, 50th? I was on 47th. It was really that last minute, too. I was like, what do you mean, fill in tonight? But I did it, and then he flew me out to LA, and I filled in for a couple weeks at a time, and I became the permanent fill-in host.
Okay.
And a lot of stuff kind of spawned off of that. I did some stuff on the Style Network, on this great show called Relationship Rehab. I helped this poor girl who, her boyfriend turned out to be gay, so she had to stop finding herself getting attracted to gay men, so I had to take her out and show her the difference between a straight man and a gay man, which is, you know, it was so ridiculous, but of course, so I thought, this is so stupid, I'm just going to make fun of it, and we had a lot of fun with it, so it was great.
That's cool. I mean, if you feel it and it shows through, it comes across, and then you can take the audience for a ride with you.
Exactly.
And yeah, if it's put together right, that's great.
That's the ticket.
So, and the stuff with the Style Network, was that a recurring?
No, that was like a one-off thing. It was a lot of fun, but it was one-off, and we had a blast with it. And I actually, the girl who was in the girl who I was helping, turned out to be this great producer. She's producing now Broadway benefits and stuff. So I've been hosting stuff for her. So it's such a small world, you know that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's amazing. Just that, you know, who knows, or who you did this with back when you were 16 is now over here.
That sounds so dirty the way you said that. Who you did that with when you were 16. I didn't do anything when I was 16. I was home praying.
Yeah. Yeah, I think.
You don't buy that?
There was an on the knees joke there somewhere.
Oh, no, we're not going there. I thought this was a classy establishment.
This is an 11 o'clock show.
Oh, is it? Oh, good. Okay, we don't have to be classy then. I can take the jacket off then. I apologize for my hat, by the way. It's 130 degrees outside with the humidity, and I'm like a black woman. My hair just doesn't work in the humidity or the heat, and I apologize for the hat.
Is it Irish Frizz?
It is the Irish. Is that what it's called? Irish Frizz? Is that like Irish Spring, the soap?
Could be.
I like that.
Well, I mean, after the style stuff, and the radio stuff, that's kind of coming back
around, yeah, with John McMullen, your buddy, and my good friend. We are involved with a project together called GayBC.
Okay. Which is also a .com, which is
.com, gaybc.com. And right now we are doing the shows, streaming them on the internet, so you can tune in and listen. Okay. Or you can go to MySpace, myspace.com/Scott Nevins, and then you can link to GayBC and John McMullen. And it's fun. So the goal, we're raising the money, which isn't easy. Do you have a couple dollars we could borrow? It's a difficult climb, but once we get going, I think
I can barely afford to feed my crew.
I know. Which I heard there's pizza here, which we need to go have soon. Food right here to my heart. Love it. But I think it'll be great when we get GayBC going, because with all of the gay stuff that's out there, the TV channels that shall remain nameless, and the radio programs, both past and present, I think there's a quality factor that's missing. And that's where I said to John, I will only sign on with you if I am certain that there will be a high quality factor, and we will be doing and providing what the audience wants, not what 5 guys sitting in an office think they know we want as a community. And so I'm really tough with John, and John is tough with me about keeping the quality at a higher level and not dumbing it down. People are not dumb.
Right.
And just because people live in middle America doesn't mean they don't know what's going on in the rest of the world. It doesn't mean you have to simplify things. I find that so infuriating and insulting.
With the national and global cable networks, with the satellite radio, with the internet, and the streaming and podcasting, the world has gotten a lot smaller, and people who may have been in Backwards Town, USA, someplace. That's no longer the case.
I think I've performed there, Backwards Town, USA. I think my tour is going there. Oh.
Yeah, but I mean, the world has gotten smaller, and people are more savvy than the suits give them credit for.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely the scary parts of America too, but there are some very savvy people out there. And I think it's insulting to dummy things down for them. I don't think you need to. So we are all about putting out great quality, what you want to see, not just junk and smut.
Okay. Well, I mean, are you leaning toward the political? Are you leaning toward the comedic? Are you leaning toward the celebrity?
See, I think, they're already trying to pigeonhole us just by what we've done in the past, and they think John is going to be more political, social, and I'm going to be very entertainment. But what they don't know is, I'm glued to the television on CNN and C-SPAN all day long, so I'm very political. But, it's all about what the shows turn out to be. I think both of ours will be a nice mixture of all of it. I'm very political. I'd love to have politicians on. One of my good friends is Danny O'Donnell, Rosie O'Donnell's brother, who is a politician here in New York, and I'd love to have him on, and anybody. I think the more you have that in a setting where maybe people think it shouldn't be, it's all the more important to have it there, because it gets the word out to people who may not be paying attention. Because I think people are so sick of politics right now that they're just tuning out, and that's very, very dangerous.
Yes, I mean, those who don't remember history are doomed to repeat it.
And we are.
Okay, well, down the road, where do you want it all to take you? Where do you want it to go?
Well, I mean, the immediate future, right now I'm on tour. I'm doing my one-man show, Celebutante, Don't You Know Who I Think I Am?
Okay.
Which, it's a 90-minute comedic monologue where I'm so mean to everybody. I mean, I trash, I trash all the usuals, Paris Hilton and Clay Aiken and Ryan Seacrest. But I do a whole bit on Fantasia Barrino. I talk about my family growing up in Flushing and just all of them being a bunch of terrible drunks. And sorry, Mom. And I do, you know, and it's a great thing. I talk about my love of all the divas, and I do a lot of my vocal impersonations during the show. And we did it off Broadway. We got a MAC Award nomination for Best Comedic Show, and we're now taking it on the road.
Okay.
Which is exciting to like big cities, not just mobile stations in backwards town.
That's at your local trailer park?
Yeah, which I'll play anything, you know. I'll host the opening of an envelope, I don't care.
Okay, and where can people find more information about that?
They can go to scottnev.com. It's SCOTTNEV, as in Victor, INS.com, or myspace.com/ScottNevins. And send me emails and letters. I love that. I love hearing from people. It gives me great ideas of what they want to see on my shows.
Okay, and if I can ever get around to updating my webpage, it's www.talkingabout.info. Also on MySpace, myspace.com/talkingabout. That one, I have a lot of links to shows that we have online. As of right now, we've got more than 50 shows online. More coming every time I have an hour to put one up.
You're so high tech. I love it.
I try. I got to keep up.
Are you addicted to MySpace?
Not so much.
Oh, I can't leave my house without checking. It's terrible. I'm addicted.
Oh, I look in 5 times a day, but that doesn't mean I'm addicted. Okay, well, we're just about out of time.
Oh, okay.
Time flies here.
It does.
Yes.
But this was so fun. Thank you for having me here.
No, thank you for being here. Scott Nevins, scottnevins.com, myspace.com/scottnevins.
Perfect.
Talkingabout.info. My name's John Griffith. I'm done. I'm being waved off the stage, so we're just going to end it right now before we end up hanging ourselves. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. And thank you for joining us, and I will see you next time, if my set holds together.
Don't break the set.